Okay, so I made kind of an oopsie today. I was experimenting with new methods of recording that didn't really work out, and I guess somewhere in the mix, when I was going back to my regular recording style, I thought I was hitting record, and I was hitting stop on the audio, so tee-hee, this is recorded in post. My B, everyone. Anyway, this is the one defense replay we got. I really like this one, actually. I think, well, so this team is extremely similar to my bike team, like right down to same number of merges and IVs on bike, and running triple mythics this week with Lancina support. The difference is that, well, first of all, I run... So anyway, this Lucina has Swordbreaker, so they thought that would work, but they got impacted and set up for the super pain train to take off, which I thought was awesome. Hollywood's going nuts. I'm super glad I invested in him. I love him in his little hat. Yeah, I wanted to even before it responded, but that just totally sealed the deal. Also, I'm realizing that even if they had not... even if they had baited differently, I think they still would have gotten Ophelia'd. So my team covered that strategy really well. Which is weird because I do think Bike is a character that can kind of mess me up. Oh.
Orders.
Okay, here's the actual match.
Understood.
There were a few, like, it's necessarily kind of scary to see Dazzle and turn 1 Luna and Eliwood with an insane amount of speed and attack because of the mythic composition on this team. So I took a lot of time deciding which team to use, but ultimately I settled on Ike because he can kill Ethlin and should be able to take the hit from Sonya. Even though he has stacked res and she's running Luna, he's just bonkers strong enough to do it. I didn't actually do the math out. I did a little bit of the math out, but it seemed like it would be okay even if he got doubled. So, was I right? Who can know?
Like this.
So silly. Oh, so yeah, I was having a really hard time figuring out where, like who would move to which column between Ninian and Eliwood, but I realized it didn't matter that much, because if anyone other than Eliwood got danced, it didn't matter very much. This is for the next turn, obviously. But they're going to take those two columns, and no matter what, if I isolate one of them, Eliwood can't get danced, so it gives me options. So anyway, Ike does Ike things, and Sonya doesn't quite do Sonya things. She doesn't even double, which surprised me. So yeah, this went about as expected. I would have preferred if Eliwood and Ninian had switched places, because now the man's a little bit of a pain to deal with. And I hadn't really considered that the Bolt Tower would set up Wings of Mercy on the Yuns, so there was some very legitimate fear going on. I was trying to figure out if there was a way that I could snipe Eliwood with air, but it seemed like a big overextension when there's 2 Yuns right there. It may have worked. I probably could have calced it and seen, but Yun is a weird enough character that, like, between the debuffs, the bonds, and everything else, I didn't want to, you know, forget to carry the one and end up losing for no real reason, when it seemed like retreating was a pretty valid choice, a pretty valid option, I guess. So that's what we ended up doing, I swear. It takes a minute. This is definitely teaching me a lesson to be a little bit more careful that I am recording audio, because it's really weird trying to time things out with the calculations I was doing in my head. Yeah, so, I don't know. In the meantime, We're getting closer and closer to the Mythic banner, which is exciting. I'm really hoping it's someone good, something good to make Astra a little bit less suffering. I feel like Milla was a huge bump to
It's all for you.
Light Season, which was already the easier season, so it'd be nice to get
Orders.
someone about on that level, someone who can make a similar bump to Astra, like making Astra this, like the amount that Milla made Light Season easier.
I bestow
If
my
we could make
blessing.
Astra easier by the same amount, it would still be way harder than Light, but it would be a very welcome change. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm hoping for.
Orders.
And yeah, so the plan here was to just make sure the units who were the best defended against Yoon were up front, which is why my plus res heir instead of my neutral heir was leading there. But it turns out that no one was able to make a move. And then, the play I ended up making here I thought was actually very smart.
Understood.
Yeah, so
The glimmer of light.
that was a good spot for Ike.
What's next?
Air couldn't double Eliwood, but I'd done the math earlier and I knew it was close, and something I had not realized until right now was that Lucina's weapon applies to weapon type, not weapon and movement type. I thought it was only for infantry units for some reason. It's not. So
Yes.
she gives all the buffs, and I think the cooldown reduction effect too, to any unit that uses physical damage. So yeah, that was very cool to find out. Anyway, from here, the match is pretty free, as you can tell. So, yeah, it's a very successful late season. We're going into Sunday with all 4 ladders intact,
The glimmer
which
of
means
light.
tomorrow's definitely going to be a double. We're going to play 2 matches tomorrow.
Yes.
I won't screw that one up, I promise. That would have been painful, imagine.
It's all for
Having to
you.
do this for 2. And yeah, Lucina's buffs on player phase actually really coming in clutch in this match, so that's the takeaway here. Lucina is a player phase support unit. Who knew? Yeah, so, those are the matches. And I'll see you next time. Hopefully a little bit better.